The biggest challenge that we have in representing people with traumatic brain injury is that the medical aspect of these cases are always complex. There is usually a number of different specialty fields of physicians that are involved. It could be neurosurgeons in more serious cases, neurologists, psychiatrists, then there's psychologists, there's neuropsychologists. In some brain injury cases, the severity of the injury is obvious. If there's a cracked skull or a CAT scan that shows bleeding on the brain, it's more obvious. However, there are other categories of brain injury, often termed closed head injuries, where the severity of the injury isn't so obvious. There may not be a cracked skull. There may not be any bleeding of the brain that's demonstrated on a CAT scan or other diagnostic study. However, these victims sometimes find out and discover that they have cognitive issues developing afterwards. Because what needs to take place in order to really detect and be able to prove and present these more subtle damages that can often happen with a brain injury case, neuropsychological testing is usually employed. And that involves usually a 2-day period of extensive testing from which the expert neuropsychologist can determine whether or not the person has lost memory or brain function due to traumatic brain injury that's not as obvious as some are. To properly represent a brain injury victim, the attorney has to become intimately familiar with all of the medical aspects involved so he can present the testimony of the specialized physicians of the many different specialties involved in a very clear and understandable way for a jury. While people are making this important decision of which attorney to hire, oftentimes insurance companies are calling and wanting them to sign forms or give statements, and that can be nerve-wracking. What I've done is written 2 books. One involves how to avoid tricks and traps of insurance companies while people are unrepresented by an attorney. And the other is how to hire an experienced, highly qualified attorney for a certain type of case and how to go about that process and make sure you end up representing by the right attorney for your case.